It's going.
All right.
Okay, let's start this over. At this time, I'd like to call to order the Advanced Disposal Emerald Park Standing Committee for November 7th, 2016 at 5:03 p.m. Dan, would you read the roll? Do you have the roll?
Under roll call here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and just the names I
Read
mentioned?
out the names and they will answer by here or
Mr. Harvey Schweitzer,
Here.
Mr. Mike Hackney,
excused.
Alderman Elaine Madden,
Here.
Mr. Patrick Murray,
Here?
Mr. Mark Slocum,
Here.
Mr. Don
Tika. Here.
Matika,
Atika.
Mr. Roland Kiefer,
Who's absent?
Mr. Greg Burmeister,
Here.
and it says David Simpson, but it would be me, Mr. Dan Flamini, here. And Miss Rebecca Montano.
Here.
And Mr. Michael Cowling.
Here.
And you have Joe. Did you? And we have Joe here.
Joe Spear is
Joe,
a
you-
contractor,
Joe
he's
Spears.
not a committee member.
Yeah.
Okay, but he is contracted to provide information to the committee and work for the committee.
You're not here either, so.
And he also works for the.
Oh, yes, you are.
Special guest.
And we have.
And
But we also have, I think, one you missed, Mr. Berg.
He's not. I'm not on the list. Brett.
he's not.
Yeah, Brett Coogan.
He's here for Mike.
Yeah, put Brett Coogan down as
Two
being the
O's.
landfill representative.
and 2 T's.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I think we have,
He's
we
in
corrected
place
like
of
a
Mike
month of
Hackney.
that, where.
Mike spells it wrong.
Mike is not
Yeah,
a
but my mom
committee
got
member,
really upset when
he's
she
a
realized she was
representative
doing
of
it
the
wrong, so
landfill.
it had to all be fixed.
And what was the name, Brett?
Brett Brett. Coogan Coogan.
I am.
Okay,
Russians major.
Yeah, I have the title,
oh,
so-
we have a guest from the police department.
Okay,
Lieutenant Greg Samucha, Thomas Miller.
great.
Yes.
Craig, yes.
He can look you up.
I can look you up. That's fine.
And he said, look you up, not to.
Burn rubber on the way out.
Is it working?
Go on.
Okay. Statement of public notice. This is up to you. Was this meeting posted in accordance with the open meeting law?
Yes.
Approval of the minutes of the, I'm trying to think what that date was, April,
June?
June 6th.
June 6th.
June 6th meeting?
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
Corrections, addition, discussion? On hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The minutes are accepted unanimously. Open forum, at this time, we allow for citizens to speak to any issue relative to landfill operation or any item on the agenda. Would you care to speak?
There is one thing I would like to see taken care of, is that there'd be a plaque at the landfill for that little baby that is buried here.
To Esquire's child that was, no, that was different.
Yeah, wasn't it, that was.
No, that was
It was a
the lady.
mother.
That was the lady.
They retrieved her, so
Oh,
I'm not familiar with
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
There was a baby that inadvertently got into the landfill system and is buried here at the landfill.
Emerald Park? When did that happen?
Years ago. And I think with all these closures going on with the landfill, that they should, put a memorial plaque of some kind,
It was pre.
acknowledging the baby.
Okay, could you provide me some little additional information? I'll try to look that up.
Well, I can try.
Okay.
It was at the same time that the isotope happened over next door, so I could probably use that as a guide.
Oh, and they were looking for that radioactive source?
Well, at the same time, they're sort of
I
coinciding.
remember
Okay,
that.
it's coincidental.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Okay, once I get more information, then I will talk with the landfill people,
Okay.
see what their position and thoughts are on that.
It was August of '96.
Oh, jeez.
Is that approval too?
Gotta
He
be.
was here then. Or his dad was.
No, JSA got involved in '99, so.
Oh,
But a woman accidentally threw her baby out in the garbage.
Accidentally?
what?
Right.
And by the time they figured it all out, the baby was under a significant amount of waste here.
Oh my God.
And my phone was being a pain about reading it. I keep backing out of the story by
It
accident.
doesn't want to remember.
No, but it looks like it was August 3rd, 1996 is when the Journal reported it.
Right.
August 3rd, 99?
It's
96.
96, August 3rd, you said?
Yes, that's when the newspaper article came out.
First cell.
That could be because 2 weeks.
That would have
Opened in
been,
96.
yeah, that would have had to have been, you know, it would have been C and D,
Couple
they would
months
have had to
after
get
we
around.
opened.
Yeah. Yeah, the baby was a week old. She gave the baby, oh, here we go, the full thing. Do you want me to read this into?
Go ahead.
All right. Somewhere under several thousand tons of garbage at a Muskego landfill lies the body of a newborn baby. Authorities say he was born a week ago Thursday in the bathroom of a Pleasant Prairie home to 18-year-old Christina Barnhill of 2912 104th Street. Scroll down. Barnhart hadn't told her family she was pregnant, police said. After giving birth to the boy, she placed him on the floor, then went to get supplies to clean up. Said a criminal complaint filed against her Friday in Kenosha County Circuit Court. At that point, she told police her son was alive and moving, though he didn't cry. When she came back upstairs, the baby had stopped moving, she told police. Barnhill wrapped him in a towel, put him in a plastic bag, and dropped him in a trash bin outside the home, the complaint says. The trash was picked up 4 days later and taken to Emerald Park Landfill in Muskego. The landfill gets about 2,025 tons of garbage each day. Most of that is municipal garbage, though the landfill also accepts industrial waste and demolition debris. 10 Kenosha County jail inmates spent all day Friday with hose searching through crushed garbage at the landfill in hopes they'd find the baby. By 6 p.m., they'd come up with nothing but trash. There's little doubt that the baby is at the landfill, authorities said, because all Pleasant Prairie garbage goes there. We've run into Milwaukee garbage and West Allen's garbage, said Sergeant Paul Ratzberg of the Pleasant Prairie Police Department, who was supervising the search. They hadn't found anything from Pleasant Prairie. Pleasant Prairie Police Chief James Horvin said he doesn't expect to find the body. It's going to be a monumental task, he said. The chances are slim. The body could be buried under as many as 12,000 tons of garbage, according to landfill general manager Alan Albee. Finding the body could help in prosecuting Barnhill, was charged Friday with first-degree intentional homicide and with hiding a corpse. If convicted, she could face prison and a $10,000 fine. Both Horvath and the body, but Horvath said the body isn't necessary for Barnhill's prosecution. Whether they find the baby or not, she's charged. Adding the search could continue indefinitely.
Okay. Not quite what I expected today.
The rest of the story is about her being treated by a doctor. The bloodstains found in the bathroom. I'm hoping that they call out a name by the end.
I think we've got enough for the record right
Yeah.
now.
It doesn't call out a name for the baby.
Okay, that's a journal article.
Yep.
Are you aware of any of the landfills doing anything like that, doing any plaques for, I mean, we know about Skip, obviously, but Skip was
To
like.
my
an
knowledge, no,
institution
but it's
here.
nothing I've
I
really
didn't
looked
live
into
in
before.
Why, she haven't.
So,
I didn't even live here then.
yeah.
Is that it, Stella?
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Learn something every day.
Yeah. Okay, compliance officer report?
We've continued to do weekly audits since the June meeting. The site has done numerous small construction activities like landfill will, regular placement. The big changes that have occurred is the removal of the access road up to phases 1, 2, and 3, because now that's where the waste is being placed. So there's a new access road into phase 7, and they've restored an access where you go through phase 7 up to 1, 2, and 3 for the placement of soils.
Okay. I have a question. You said the waste right now is currently being placed on top of 1, 2, and 3?
No, the waste is going where the access road to 1, 2, and 3 was. The access road has been carved out because otherwise it would form a lens. The material's being used for daily cover. There haven't been any action items. 2 weeks ago, I did a bright and early audit when they opened. The construction entrance was open without anyone supervising it. In the past, we've talked about the construction access being well enough supervised by the activities at the landfill. I discussed it with Mike and Brett. They were both in. Mike said the activity was over and that we would discuss it again if they were going to have an early morning opening. But it really wasn't an action item issue, and it was the last or second to last day of it.
And so, following that, that gate is closed up and locked?
Right.
All the time?
Mm-hmm. Yep, except when the contractor's making use of it, and when the contractor's making use of it, the contractor's responsible for it, or the activity at the landfill is ongoing. But I just felt that during non-operational times, the landfill was a little odd to have it open. And, we reached an agreement that, it wasn't something that would happen in the future.
Okay. Just for Brett's clarification, yes, you may assign responsibility to the contractor for that gate, but that's ultimately a landfill responsibility?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, we know that.
Okay.
And we've had one visual change, and that is the Oaks. Oaks showed up. Thankfully, it was the day I audited, otherwise I wouldn't have known it happened. And just informed the landfill they're removing their scale. So the construction entrance will no longer have a scale at it. It's been there since '90.
Well, before I was here,
Yeah.
it was, yeah.
It was put in to weigh the soil loads that were going down to the farm. And it's been there ever since, and it's been used off and on for backhauls or for clay purchases, but it won't be there anymore. It was removed last week.
Okay. How does that impact the landfill, if at all?
Doesn't really at all. No, they're gonna keep their trailer there. That I don't know if we'll really have any use for, but besides that, we never utilize a scale or anything. I mean, the only thing that in the future is if we were to ever start hauling clay back to the clay farm, Oaks would have to use our scale or something like that, but we don't foresee that anytime in the near future because we still have our stockpiles that we can use, so.
Okay. Anything else, Joe?
No.
Mark, if we could, can we, if nobody minds, jump down to new business number 2, so Greg doesn't have to spend the night with us?
That hurts.
I just figured you were all dressed up for a party,
Well, sometimes I gotta play the role.
No, I didn't think you wanted to sit with
It's
us.
up to you guys, that wouldn't hurt my feelings.
No?
Either way. I mean, if you wanna address that, number 2, new business, I don't wanna disrupt the apple cart here.
So is that your motion?
Well,
It's not a motion.
no, it wasn't a motion, I was
Okay.
It's
just
a
trying to be
point of business for the committee to address. And as long as it is within the agenda,
Yeah, just
we
move it
can do
around.
that.
Sure.
Okay. Any objection to taking item number 2 under new business before continuing on with the remainder of the agenda items?
No.
No.
Okay.
I put this on here because we have a lot of new officers coming in. And we have a lot of officers that have been with us for a long time that haven't had the opportunity to practice at night. And with the ways of the world these days, I think it would be good if they did have that opportunity. So if there was no objection, I would like to make a motion to extend the hours for the shooting range for the Muskego officers and their trainees. I don't know what, like maybe, you think 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock? What do you think?
Well, yeah,
You want to get everybody in.
We're currently doing a night shoot. We usually try to do it in November when we change the clocks.
Okay.
So it gets darker,
Right,
obviously earlier.
right.
In fact, we're doing it tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we're gonna have 2 more dates in November. So we'll get all 36 officers involved in a night shoot
Mhm.
this year. We only technically do it annually because again, November works the best.
Right,
But
but.
we can extend it, and that's
Yeah.
because, again, not to shoot beyond the allowed time.
Correct, right.
So, could we shoot probably again, maybe another shoot in October, September, a little later on?
Mhm.
Night shoot's a night shoot.
Yeah, and I didn't really want to put specific months on it because we don't know. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
they just keep
But in
coming.
the
In
summer-
terms of this agreement, we don't want night shoots in the months of May, June, July,
Well, and I
August.
get that, but I mean, as far as having just September, October, November, you know, if we could add, I don't know, December, January, and February.
That's not particularly
It,
acceptable.
it would be helpful though, a night shoot in clement weather,
Right?
because the bad guys
True.
don't stay
Yeah.
in.
True. I mean, we wouldn't be opposed to have that opportunity available to us, but, and saying we might benefit from having maybe an opportunity to shoot in September, because it does
Right.
start getting a little darker, to avoid getting way later in the night.
Right.
Again,
Mhm.
You're talking, we don't wanna shoot at night in December, that's just,
Right.
that's common sense. You know, and it doesn't get dark until, obviously, 8-ish, 9. So again, we're not gonna, for even changing everyone's schedule, it's not feasible,
Mhm,
in my opinion.
mhm.
So
To
we
get it
look,
to shoot. So, I don't know, if some flexibility there, September through, you know.
that's what I'm saying.
The idea to shoot in December, January, February is all good.
Mhm.
That might not be feasible either, because the range would have to get plowed, and, there would be other logistical issues to get it usable,
Mhm.
but.
So if you had, so what do you have, just 1 month now? Just November?
I always set it up in November.
Oh, okay.
Just because we're not with
Sure.
right now.
Right.
So you're looking for maybe another month, to
Maybe
September
month
to
or two, Just
November?
end of September, middle September, maybe September, October, November,
Mhm.
for some flexibility. Leaning more towards October, because we do technically have a shoot in September.
How many new officers have we had in the last, say, year?
Oh, we're at 2, maybe 6, 7.
Yeah. I know there's quite a
I
few.
just did backgrounds on 4, I'm doing 2 more. got
I was
2 more
gonna say, and
backgrounds.
we've
I
got more
2
coming.
you know,
Yeah, we've got
chief,
more coming.
retiring in
Right.
January, so I'm doing 2 more backgrounds starting today.
Right, okay.
Now, your night shoots for Muskego officers or for everyone?
Just Muskego?
Just Muskego.
Just Muskego.
Okay.
We don't get, we don't get any requests from other agencies that are on the list to do any night shoots.
We just wanna make sure our guys have every opportunity to be trained in every way they may need it.
don't
We've
see-
had a lot of things
What-
happen in the middle
I
of the
don't
night
see any
lately.
problem with having a 3-month window.
I truly don't think it would be an abuse.
Motion?
What's
I
that?
I don't think it would be an abuse, it would be.
Can you restate it, just so we're all clear?
Okay, well, I was waiting for,
Oh, yeah,
for
that's
dates.
fine.
So we're looking at September, October, November, or did you wanna do?
They already
Is
have
that 3
November.
months is good?
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna shoot too much more into the year.
Okay,
The
so
weather gets a little too
Crappy.
crappy.
Yeah.
And
Well,
again,
weather is
just-
crappy with bad guys
But
too.
again,
Yeah, but the bad guys don't come on to
everyone
crappy
in
weather. They're all
parks
bunches.
to Plow the,
Yeah,
they
I
got their own
suppose.
stuff. It's
Okay.
just trying to have the facility usable.
Right.
If it's icy, you can have, it's gotta be user friendly.
Yeah,
So you're really looking for, to have the ability to have night shoots in September and October, because you already have it in November.
We have it in November.
yeah.
Why wouldn't you shoot in the spring?
Again, spring could work, I guess I'm trying to think when it gets dark.
You might wanna do it before the time
This time of year,
change.
'cause it
Sure.
gets dark earlier.
Yeah.
I'm just
That's
asking.
Yeah, but that's only this week.
Or you could
Yeah,
do
but he
it
says so
early
they're not
morning
shooting at
before
night
it
that
gets
night as well.
light. I mean, it's not like we have, I don't know about
They're not
anybody
that
else
loud.
here. Do you ever hear when these guys are shooting out here? 'Cause I
Yeah,
don't.
I
Do
do.
you?
Yeah.
I never.
Well, I can hear
did-
it, I'm down by the gun club, I hear the gun club a hell more than I ever
Yeah,
hear
I'm
anything
sure.
here.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
but it's-
Here's the gun club.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare that you hear,
Not you
hear the
guys.
police shoot. They must
Yeah,
have some
it's-
big events once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and, yeah, those are noticeable. But it's not,
Citizens Academy.
it's not as offensive as the gun club. I mean, that it is not. So it isn't gonna be an issue. It's-
Yeah, so,
Make a motion to make
Yeah,
it
I-
September.
I'll second it.
Okay.
The motion is to allow night shoots to occur in September and October.
In
And-
addition,
and then a couple times in the spring before the time
Okay,
change.
so the motion would be to allow night shoots in September, October, November. Do you want December at all?
I trust in him, I tell you.
It won't hurt, in case we have a mild December, if you're
Okay.
not opposed to it.
Right?
Okay. And then,
And in the spring, prior to changing to daylight savings time.
yeah,
Okay, that's the motion. Is
That's
there a
the motion.
second?
I
Pat
second.
seconded.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Further discussion on the motion? Harvey, any
Mm,
thoughts?
No, it's fine.
Okay, all those, we gotta finish up, one more thing. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried unanimously.
I do have a question about the firing range, though. And it's been there for quite a few years, and now you're advertising as to where it is, and with the local,
Who did that? There were signs out one weekend, and I think it must have been, it wasn't Muskego.
it says police training.
Right,
Yeah.
but I think it was in Milwaukee.
Yeah, well, Milwaukee PD
Yes.
in conjunction with the FBI are
Right.
using it.
They had big yellow signs out on the road for their shoot. It was a whole week. I think
It was a week, and
Yeah.
I think you're inviting things you don't wanna have to deal with.
I'm assuming they had new
It's probably
officers
only
or somebody
because
that.
people are, when you
Yeah.
have Milwaukee involved, you're bringing people from all
All
over.
over.
That in itself, trying to find something off of Highway 45. in
Yeah,
Muskego
it's not well
is
marked.
probably a challenge too.
They've been able to do it for all these years. I mean, they can put a cone out there, they can do things.
Sure.
I just think the sign that says police training isn't something you really wanna continue to pursue.
When did you notice that? Because then I'll try to.
That was
Maybe
3
2 weeks ago.
2 or 3 weeks ago it was. I remember seeing it too, and I was really surprised.
Yeah, combs, yes,
Right.
but advertising,
Limits
It surprised me. The
my
sign
goodness,
was
these guys
big.
must have
It's
GPS.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is, made, yeah.
North.
Yeah, it was to the north, so
And
when they-
it
This
didn't
is a
say
good
anything
time
on
to
the
take
back,
them on.
so you could only see it if you were coming south from.
Everybody has a phone, everybody's got GPS on their phone,
No, I agree.
let's see.
But I could
It's a good
see-
time to
yeah,
practice
put
finding
Big old
places.
red cone on there.
We usually put a cone.
Shoot the wrong house up
Yeah, we'll
there.
call them and train,
Yeah,
train
I'll
them
contact
how to
that
find
agency
something.
and just tell them the concerns and
Calm down.
settle down a little bit. Absolutely,
Yeah.
not a problem.
Anything else with respect to the shooting range or the motion just acted upon? Okay. Status of projects, clay extraction, correct?
This is ongoing. We don't have any clay extraction going on.
Any backhauls, anything?
Nope, our backhaul, that was going to our other landfill, pretty much ended several weeks ago. There was 1 or 2 days where they needed a few more truckloads. There was 1 or 2 days where they had 4 trucks on, but they're done for good now.
What was going on this morning? There were dump trucks everywhere.
We have a dirt job coming in from MMSD and somewhere in National. Down the city.
Contaminated soil.
Yes.
So the next time, the earliest we'll see clay extraction is when?
Well, we're doing a cell next year. No, I don't know when they're gonna start off. That's all up to our corporate office and when they approve everything. But next year we have a cell construction going on, but I don't believe we'll be taking anything off site because we have a lot of it gone already with what we've done this year. So they'll either stay on site or go to a stockpile over on future parkland. So nothing in the foreseeable future.
And when you go to future Parkland, it'll be
All on
cross
site.
lots.
Yep, exactly. We won't be going out on 45 at all.
I'd like to comment that the clay extraction was a clean operation this year, and it was not a noisy event. You guys did a good job in not overfilling the trucks this year.
Yeah.
It wasn't rolling over the top before they got out into the street.
We do have that on 8 Mile Road.
Covered by somebody else, I
I
think.
think so.
Right, that's fine, I just don't want to interrupt you.
No.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
Have a good night.
Take,
Appreciate it, thank you.
take care.
Take care, everyone.
Stay safe.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Household hazardous waste.
Now you guys missed me last night.
Now we go.
You can open the packet now. So the first thing in your tag, you're gonna see the email, you flip it the other way. There you go.
We gotta change it.
Try to hand it enough, just grab it. So the first thing I wanna bring up is that I received an email on this today from John Miller about the weekend event at the mosquito site. And John has continued to express a lot of concern about the mosquito site and the size of it, the fact that he has to treat it like it's a temporary site, he has nowhere to store waste, and so there's some ongoing issues he has operating out of that site. While Jensen, I think they try hard to be cooperative, there are limitations just because of the location of the site. So I wanted you, I don't necessarily have any suggestions for him on this site, and this committee has talked at length about opportunities for other sites, but the reality of the permitting process for handling that kind of waste is not simple to find another site, an alternate option.
across the street.
No,
I'm talking about Jensen.
Jensen,
That's the
College Avenue.
Franklin
Okay,
site.
Okay.
Yep.
just it says, I just want to make sure you saved 94 cars. This doesn't include cars that Jensen took for oil and other items. I don't understand that.
Oh,
So
Not
you don't
necessary.
accept certain things.
Oh, okay,
and
so
when they-
94 cars came in, but only,
94 for household hazardous waste.
With the
But-
acceptable materials we take.
Right.
okay,
But Jensen also takes used motor oil,
all right,
latex
I
paints,
got it.
you know,
Okay.
all kinds of.
okay,
Right.
I got it.
134 cars.
Okay, that's good. All right, I get it.
So I think there's a couple reasons why he's saying this. He's saying this because there's continued concern about the budget. And so, in July, when they sent me a bill, I about fell over because it was historically the highest amount of bill we've ever had on record for one single month for the HHW program. So I went back to him about that, and then we started drafting the site closure protocol because I thought for sure I'm gonna be 30,000 over, and I can't. I don't have any money, so I can't do it. So anyways, I think he gave me projections so that we could try to come together on what was gonna happen for the remainder of 2016. And so I think part of it is that he was concerned about the projections he provided me that assured me we wouldn't go over the budget. And that's when we did not try to call a special meeting and vote closures in addition to what we're already doing. Anyway, so I wanted to bring it to your attention. I would really appreciate the committee just taking some time to think about it. If you haven't been to the site, maybe it would make sense for you to visit it during a collection, and if there are any options. Again, I don't think there are. I think Mark made a good point in the email. I had forwarded him an email just so he knew I was gonna bring it up at the meeting tonight for everybody in committee. That, you know, the weather's nice and people are still cleaning their garages and getting extra stuff done around their house. And there's not much we can do about it, to be honest with you. The Muskego residents are gonna use it because it doesn't, you know, the Muskego residents don't get charged through the program if they use the Muskego site. So the city wants the Muskego residents to use it. So it doesn't make sense to say, oh, go to another site. Although, it might start making more sense that if Muskego residents use Franklin, maybe we can redirect some of this. So I think it's something that, you know, we need to consider and discuss with John. That would be really one of my only suggestions, is to discuss further that if Muskego residents use the Franklin site, they could be extended the same benefits of the charge. But it just, unfortunately what that does is it just pushes costs off to all the other residents of Waukesha County. So that's also something to take into consideration, so.
So it may be just an anomaly, but you want to put us on notice.
Yeah, I would like us to be
Yeah.
thinking about the
Just
site, and to,
reasonable.
yeah, to continue thinking about that site, and if other options come up that you become aware of, or if you think of suggestions that would not just push costs out to other aspects of the program, but could maybe be real solutions, that I think that anything can be on the table to discuss.
Joe,
Yeah.
are you aware of any other licensed facilities in Muskego?
No.
Industrial park, there's no one that,
The only thing I'm aware of is registered oil burners.
yeah, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
No, the city, the county, nobody would be able to take on the initiative, find a site, permit it, take care of it, and really is not interested in a new permanent site either, you know, because they're already running Franklin right here, and they have their home base, so they're not interested in another permanent site anywhere else.
Who, when you say they,
Yield, the
Okay.
vendor, yep.
yeah. So, they're not interested in another permanent site,
Because of costs that they would have to incur to do something like that.
okay, but they're saying, but the site you have is asking for trouble. If it's going to see this kind of activity, if we're gonna see 30, 40, 50 cars, we're fine. If we're gonna see this 90,
Right. So if this trend continues, basically they're citing safety concerns at this site and their ability to properly function at this site and provide the services that we are requiring of them
okay,
due to the limitations of the site.
but they're not interested in establishing another site.
Nor are they required to.
No,
So,
I understand.
yeah.
But from their own standpoint, they're not interested in establishing another site.
No, they would be more interested in utilizing Franklin. They can permanently store things at that site according to the regulations that they have to fall under, but they can more readily store things to more efficiently ship when things are full.
With a, go ahead.
These 94 cars that are saying they weren't all Muskego residents.
Yes, they
Well,
will.
they were all, it's all Muskego residents, okay.
So let me back that up just for a
That's
second.
what I'm saying, I wanna
So
know.
typically, yes, 99% of people who use that site, and I'll put your number, but the majority of residents that use that site are Mosquito residents.
Oh, okay.
And so that's very much, I do say, I do not have all the slips. We get the slips in and we have to manually go through each slip. And that's how we, at the end of the year, I report to you and we bill out based on who used what site from what.
Oh, okay,
municipality. So I
okay.
don't have that detailed information, nor will they have that for me
Till
until next
later.
month.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So we don't verify when they come into the Muskego
Yes,
site
we
that
do.
we do.
They take, we provide them a template and they print it out and they have to take a license and they have to write down the address, the name of the person. They don't write down, the thing that would be great is if you could put pounds on there so we can have a little verification, but that cannot happen. It's just feasibly unable to happen in the time frame that these sites are open and the facilities that are available.
So then they would all be Muskego vehicles.
Well, they could be, so that's what I'm saying, we do
Yeah.
track it. They are required to look at their license, to fill out a chart, and then they send us all of those after every month for every
Okay.
site. So, and then we can go through it and organize it by municipality.
Is it possible for a non-Muskego person to use the site? Sure.
Most people.
And I think we'd rather have somebody from another community use the site than throw it off in the ditch in Muskego.
Oh, honestly, what if they throw out the generic community?
Yeah, doesn't hurt quite as much, Mike.
But if you push 94 cars across the street to the Franklin site, would they have the capacity to handle that? Or even if
we
you
could-
pushed
What we're
50?
saying is if we could split it up, you know, so if, out of that 94 cars, half are coming to Muskego and half are utilizing the Franklin site, they're more readily able to handle it. Now, I know there's different hours open, but I think likely what's happening, and correct me if I'm wrong, with City of Muskego, that you're probably advertising to your residents to use that site. So,
Yes.
because there's no charge to you. So I'm not telling you you shouldn't, that's a great strategy. What I'm telling you is that our vendor has expressed concern about the volumes that are starting to come in there, and we need to think about what options are available if this trend were to continue.
It would be probably convenient for the residents of District 6 and 7 to use this site.
Right.
But unfortunately, that's a minor part of the population. When you figure that the community's built, broken up into 7 districts, you would have 2 coming here. That still leaves 5 to the College Avenue site. I mean, would it help? Sure. And because of the hours over here, it wouldn't be this Saturday onslaught because they're open during the week,
Right.
which would be convenient for people.
Right. We would just have to.
They don't
review
have
the
evening
impacts
hours though, do they?
That would push onto everybody else if Muskego residents were able to utilize another site at no charge. So let's say 100 residents are using it at another site. Well, if it's about $60 a person for disposal, at that 100, that's $6,000 that gets pushed off onto all the other communities and residents because there's another no charge. So, we have to think about the implications of that on everybody else,
The one across the street though has certain days when there's a sign out there, Milwaukee County residents only,
Yes.
a lot of days.
And we tried to actually make them separate hours because I don't want Milwaukee getting confused with county waste, which was something I was very concerned about with the costs that were coming in out of Franklin and the participation that was coming in. So, that's something that we wanted to do. We wanted to try to split out the hours a little bit more. I know that there's been issues with them being nasty to Waukesha County residents during the non-Waukesha hours and residents being nasty back to them because they don't want to deal with it. And there's nothing we can do. We're not going to solve that problem here. And we can't open any more hours. So, but I would prefer them be operating at separate times, to be honest with you. I can't control that per se. We have to be efficient.
Mhm. So, are you encouraging the use of the Franklin site at all, or?
We advertise all the sites to everybody. So we don't say Muskogo's only for city residents. Because of the way that the hours are, we put all 4 sites. The Muskego site we know isn't necessarily convenient for most of the populated areas in the county. The site that's convenient is Waukesha, because it's more centralized for everybody. And then you've got Menominee Falls and you've got Waukesha. So instead of people from Oconomowoc driving down to Muskego or up to Menominee Falls, they're gonna go to Waukesha.
Well, sure.
So, we could think about how we advertise things. I think there's options. I just wanted it was pushed out to me today. Let's see if this trend continues. If it does, we're gonna probably have to come up with a solution.
Well, if we added the hours that Muskego residents could dispose at the Franklin site, I think a lot of people from the entire community would wind up going there just because it does have better hours for them.
Well, you know, I think a reasonable solution to the city of Muskego on this would be, I would put forth some form of a recommendation, like looking back, we have tons of historical data. Let's figure out on average how many Muskego residents use the Muskego site and didn't get disposal, so they could use any site for disposal up to X number, right? Instead of trying to, you know, cause otherwise we're gonna, what's gonna happen is what it comes down to. So historically, it's always been 500 residents using this Muskego site and not paying the additional fee, and then it jumps up to 1,000. You know what I mean? Like, those are things that we have to take into consideration for the whole program. So if the city would be interested in discussing something along those lines, like, you know, Muskego site's always free, but up to this amount for the Franklin site too, or something along those lines. We just can't push the costs off onto everybody else.
Do you charge if we come to the Waukesha site? Is there a fee?
There's a fee. There's a fee for everybody. The city of Muskego residents get, that they're not charged for use at the Muskego site only. So,
I would think that's something that needs to be addressed because most likely the majority of the people who use the site or use the service really aren't, the volume of the people aren't from this part of the city. And I would assume that the service was offered for a perk of having the landfill.
Mhm. It was very
And
specific.
the people on the other side of Little Muskego Lake don't have a clue of any of the inconvenience of the landfill. So maybe it's time to, if it's possible, to reconsider and maybe charge for going there. And it would help the program because there would be a little more dollars and cents, your budget
I don't
would be.
think
Well,
that
remember,
will
the
help
charge
though,
doesn't go
because
to
it's
the-
still gonna get all those people, and we're trying to
But maybe
eliminate the
they'll go
number of
elsewhere.
people. Oh, you think they'll just say, heck with it, I'm not paying this?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It-
Just
It's
continue.
going to be, that's the problem. You
It's
start.
gonna wind up in a ditch,
Yep.
probably ours.
I mean, I
Well,
I
the problem
wouldn't
is
jump
that
to
they're
that
gonna get
conclusion.
charged. I mean, we have to remember too, that just, it becomes a charge back to the city of Muskego. There's never gonna be money exchanged at the site. Well, I shouldn't say never, never say never. But at this time, our vendor is not set up nor able to start accepting money.
No,
at our
we don't
HHW
want that.
sites. Correct.
We don't want that.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that the charges, the residents don't necessarily see that as the $6,000 charge that might come in on your annual cost for the HHW program. You know what I mean? I don't know that we need to solve it tonight. I just wanted to
No,
make sure we
not
were,
going to.
we were all aware of it. And
Okay.
if I come back in February, we can start the conversation again. All right, so I want to get to, if you guys could look at your, I know it's small, but I'd like you to look at the longer list of information coming in, where we have some really high costs that have come in over several months. For example, in July, our 2015 costs were, 38. So we have some definite cost structures that are coming in. We're about, what is it? About a little over $14,000 over what we were last year. And the thing I want to point out is that we have, 13% less participation, but 13% more pounds, and our costs are up almost 6%. And so it's an interesting dynamic that I'm seeing within the program that is kind of putting me in this a little bit of a concerned phase of, it's hard for me to differentiate or to know why this is happening, right? And so we also were looking at the historical numbers, and the pounds that were coming in based on participation historically has never been this inverted. So it's something that you guys shall think about. Anyway, so when the numbers started coming in, and they were coming in really high this spring, so for example, April came in pretty high, May came in pretty high at $43,000. Some of these numbers, and then they started going down. Then you also have to remember September came in pretty high at almost $45,000. basically, when I got that May and then the June invoices,
Excuse me,
We were
on
pretty high.
September, where are you seeing,
so
when you
if,
talk about the 45,000? Right here?
nope, so this is 2016, and here's September total.
Okay.
And then this is 2016 and
Gotcha.
here's September total. I know it's
Gotcha.
small and
Okay.
there's just a ton of information to try to squeeze in. So this is kind of all my prelude to when the numbers were really high around my budget time in June and July. I was well over 20% over budget at that time. And at that time, I thought that I needed to, in preparation for this meeting and preparation for budget situations, that I needed to draft a site closure protocol that would allow for the site to close for November. So in addition to January and December each year, we know if we can project out at the time around August, September, that we're gonna exceed our budgets, we could institute an additional closure just for the month of November, again, just for the 3 sites. Menominee Falls would always stay open. So because I've worked with John and I do believe that we have come with some strong projections, which right here on this small sheet, I just ran some historical numbers for you guys with number of participants, total pounds, and then some total cost for the month for 14 and 15. And so what I was projected, so we right now have $55,000 remaining after we put in September. So I wanted to run October, November, December numbers for the committee so they can understand what we're working with. I also asked John to provide me projections based on his best estimate on historicals, number of waste, operating hours, things of that nature. He projects we're gonna be at about 56,000. So I went to my boss and said, I think we're gonna be within range of our $55,000 budget remaining. I don't wanna try to do anything. Yeah, but you have to understand, it's still over budget, and I have to, that's part of the general fund, and it's not good.
I understand.
So,
I understand that.
so, but within that, I to invoke a bunch of changes and try to do the site closure and get all of that done in short order. I didn't wanna create mass chaos for residents. It just wasn't worth it politically for anybody to go through that headache. So, at this point, the committee, I would just like you to review it, but because there won't be any need for it for this year, I would like to have it come up at the next meeting if there's any comments on the site closure protocol. So it would be at the next meeting for further discussion, because I'm sure, I don't think that anybody's had time to review it.
Right.
So I would like to make sure that this is something that we discuss at the next meeting, if there are any comments from the committee on this protocol.
At the next meeting, is this something you would anticipate taking a motion on, or the next meeting would be discussion only, and the meeting after that, that you would want to be taking action if? Because I think that the governing bodies of the, the affected municipalities are gonna wanna, they're gonna wanna see this ahead of time, but in a form that we think is workable. I don't wanna give them something that's draft and.
Well, let's discuss it next meeting.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, let's discuss it next meeting and then discuss
Okay.
what needs to happen, what would be the next steps
Gotcha.
for this. Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, so next meeting, you wouldn't be looking for a motion, that's.
No,
The
I would be
question I'm
looking
asking.
for comments, I guess
Gotcha.
is what it would come
Yeah.
down to, just looking for comments.
Okay.
I guess I don't understand, you don't wanna charge, or you need to raise your funds. That amount of money has to get larger. And if you're afraid that if you're going to charge for dropping off, people are going to throw it in the ditch. But then on the other hand, you'll turn around and completely close the site, so no one can drop it off.
Well, there's always gonna be a site open, and all the months
So,
there's Menominee
well,
Falls
nobody
Road.
from here is going to drive to Menominee Falls, that I can assure you.
Nope.
Well,
I
that's
guess
why-
at some point, something's got to be figured out as to how we're going to raise the amount of money that's in that fund. And that's
Well,
something I've never
The county
heard.
has already raised the budget for 2 years in a row, and it has hit its maximum general tax levy, because we're also charging back to all the municipalities 33%. So that is pretty tapped, as it already is. And then the committee is the landfill is committed to the $156,000, which is static until closure. So that is the funds. I'm open to suggestions on how to get more funding into the program, but charging the residents on site is not a feasible solution with the current vendor and the current operations that we have. Increasing the county tax levy is not a possibility. Increasing
Well, that's what
the-
you got to do. I mean, you got to, somehow or another, you're going to eliminate something in the program or raise the taxes.
That's exactly what we have, there is not, I'm telling you right now that the budget has been raised twice to try to meet the needs of this program. And if we continue to raise it, the program's just gonna continue to cost more, and so we have to control the costs. And the only way to control the costs is by, A, doing what we did, reducing hours of operation, making them most feasible, reducing the amount of items we accept at after disposal, and B, having the flexibility to close only if we need to. Raising the tax levy is not the option here. Getting the program costs under control is the best option here. I mean, you're welcome to go and talk to the county more about raising the tax levy, but I'm telling you, I've worked hard the last 2 years to get more money into this budget to make sure that we could function as we are, and how the costs continue to go up by, every year, even with the limitations we put on it, the reduction in acceptable materials, we're still facing 6% higher costs year after year, 6 to 10 to 15% higher costs. When does it stop? When does that stop?
Is it going up because the amount coming in is going up? Or is it going up because the vendors are raising their prices?
No,
Where
I mean,
is
we're
the-
piggybacking on the state contract. I mean, basically what's being stated is that there's more pounds coming in. So we wanna manage it properly, but that directly relates to increased costs.
So people are more in tune to what should be happening with this waste, so they're being more diligent about getting it and disposed of properly, and now we're going to penalize them for that by cutting them back.
How are we cutting them back?
Well, because we're not
Closing
gonna.
the site.
Yeah, we're gonna close the site, we're gonna make them drive 20 miles out of their way, we're
At
gonna.
some point, the consumer has to take some responsibility.
Well, they're bringing it in.
Government can't provide all the services, and all I hear is that they don't wanna pay more in taxes, but they want all the services. At
Well, what do you
some
want the
point, there's
consumer
gotta
to
be
do
some
with the
personal
product?
responsibility. Take it to Menominee Falls, 15 more minutes. I mean, I understand what you're saying, don't get me wrong, but I have battled this battle for many, many years, and quite frankly, I think that offering the ability to have year-round at least one site in the county is better than they're gonna get in any
Why
county
Menominee
around us.
Falls?
Cause that's their home base.
That's their
so
home
it's the
base.
cheapest
That I
for us.
understand that.
Okay.
It's the cheapest for us. I mean, you go to Jefferson, they
There's
have
no
one
hauling
clean
costs and
sweep
so
a
on.
year.
How much has the
You know?
population increased, or hasn't it, in the same amount of time?
Particularly here in Muskego.
It-
Yeah,
You see, that's
across
what I
the
think
county,
is the
it's
problem.
You know-
It's not anything huge.
But
again,
Muskego's growing.
Remember, they're paying 33%. Every resident that comes in, there's a cost share with all other municipalities. So we track it, they're charged the overall price, so if it's $60 a resident and they had 5,000 residents use a site, they're charged that 33% of that cost share. So it's already being pushed out to the consumer. To go out and say residents should pay 40% on the back end, I mean, is that what the committee wants the county to go do?
well, to have one site open, I mean, it's 15 minutes from Waukesha to Menominee Falls, but I guarantee you'll never get to Menominee Falls from Muskego in 15 minutes.
Nope.
Never happened.
Let's hear what Joe has to say.
So did Waukesha County make the request for the Menominee Falls landfill? the waste management facility there?
We did, but that is a ways out, so.
That is something that you're actively working on that would
It is.
increase the budget of this.
It's not something that I think anybody is able to talk about right now as the negotiations are ongoing, but I do believe that it is of interest that they're seeking additional funds from the Orchard Ridge expansion for the program. Whether it will be earmarked, whether it will be approved, how much is being asked for, those are all things that I don't have information on. So, but believe me, we're always seeking other ways to help this program and to not change any more than we've already changed, not create additional confusion for our residents, while also not pushing the burden of cost higher to the residents either. So, I get what you're saying, and I believe me, I am working hard to make sure that happens.
But that does seem, if there's another expansion going on, that's a place that you almost have to get tapped into, because this landfill shouldn't have to carry the whole burden with the county.
It's not, I mean, it was a negotiation, so it was a negotiation, and they're not carrying the whole burden for the whole county. They pay 156, the county pays more than that, and the other municipalities, you know, so we probably don't need to get into the argument of who pays what based on this, because if we did a per capita with the landfill fee.
Well, I'm just saying, you gotta find another revenue source, and it sounds like one is in process, and somebody.
And if it were that easy, that would have already been done. So I understand, I agree, but the practicality of finding another revenue source sounds easy, but it's not. So people are tied by levy limits already, and so increasing those costs on municipality means decreasing other services, and so there is a lot of factors that go into it, and a lot of variables that are somewhat beyond our control. So while I would love to find another revenue source, it's just not that easy.
Just as an aside, we had an increase of 13+% in our total cost, went up about 5.5%. So it does seem like we're controlling costs reasonably well.
Well, we are, except that the total costs, you know, are still higher than they were last year, even with all the reduced labor, and we're on the state contract, so I have very little control over it, but we do very specifically and very detailed go through every invoice and make sure that they're charging per what the state will allot them.
But we've got an increased volume, and increased volume means you gotta pay for it somehow.
Right, I mean, I still think it's interesting.
It does seem to be well in control, where the costs are less than half the increase of the tonnage. Participants, that is confusing, and I'm just wondering if one neighbor is bringing 3 or 4 neighbors in.
Right.
Or you're going, can you take this box with you? So
Well, right now, because household hazardous waste is relatively small, you end up with one person that goes in and takes a whole number of, because to, you know, do all that traveling just for a small amount.
Right.
Some people don't like to accumulate it up, you know, they got kids and everything else, they just want it out.
It's all pure speculation,
Right.
because we don't know who's bringing it in, how much per person they're bringing in, if they're bringing in for their neighbors. We can speculate all day, but it's very difficult to know those details.
Right.
But you hit it right on the head, you know, pounds are up, participation's down, but costs are falling in that range that we would
Right.
expect with the increased pounds, because of, you know, some of the changes that we were able to implement.
Okay, time to move on.
Good job.
MSD project,
We are currently making some renovations to the gas plant right now. They started about 2 weeks ago, I think now. They plan to be done. They're telling me November 18th should be back to fully operational, so we'll be running the flare solely until just the week before Thanksgiving.
Is that what this is up for?
Yep. So that'll just be going 24/7 until the renovations are made.
now, how long has the plant been down?
About 2 weeks. I'd have to go back to look at the exact date, but it was,
That's the
about
one
2
at
weeks
Jones
ago.
Avenue,
Oh, this,
this one.
Yeah.
When they run the flare years ago, they had to adjust that so that it wouldn't smell. Is that still something that gets done?
And adjust the flare so it wouldn't smell?
They adjusted something.
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
So back when the landfill first started, its first couple of years, when they weren't producing enough gas to keep the flare lit, they added gas to it. They added,
Yeah.
purchased gas to it to keep it lit, because when it would go out, well, there would be a certain amount of leakage. But now they produce such a large volume, it's keeps itself going,
Correct.
and it can be reignited. And you, Mike, and somebody else all get a phone call, right? If it goes out.
Correct.
So yeah, there was a time where they had to invest, off-site gases to keep it going.
Okay.
same today.
Mhm.
Electronic recycling?
It's going all right. I mean, we try and schedule pickups every week now. Sheer number of electronics that some residents have is astounding. It doesn't even really all fit in the box anymore, and it does become a problem with the state. State regulations they're supposed to always be kept in an enclosed container, so we try and pick them up as much as possible. And we don't really have a whole lot of control in that because it overflows the container. Really, the only fix would be to get a bigger container here, but I know that's the city's container
It's overflowed almost every audit.
almost every week.
Okay, the city did purchase that container, right?
We basically just lease them the land, everything.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all their stuff. I don't know
I
if they
don't
purchased
think
it.
I don't think we bought it, but I know that they've set up a contract with the person that picks it up.
Mhm.
It's their
Legacy.
container.
For some reason, I thought that the city bought the container. That was part of what they had to do as part of this contract.
I'm not sure, I know.
And they don't hold the
Please
container off anymore, right?
look
It
that
stays
up.
unloaded.
They
See how
sold
that
it.
contract works?
I think
Was it
there
maybe-
was something about
Yeah, I
that.
have
being
our
purchased.
last
It might
bill
be.
from them, so I have that here, so we pay.
Basically, they lift the stuff out.
They basically dolly
During
in and out.
I think-
the next month or so, take a look and see what you can find on that, especially the agreement that was
They
spelled
used to,
out.
they called it.
Who owns the
Yeah,
container?
but that was the previous
The
contractor
oldest,
too.
yes.
Unless Rebecca knows.
I wish I could get a job, like a part-time job.
Who owns the container?
Imagine what my attic would look like.
No, I
Not
think,
privy to the
after
city's
talking with these guys, I think the city does own it, because
That-
they reminded me that they're emptying that container when they haul it away. The container always stays.
Yeah, they're not actually
Right.
physically running
Right.
the container, they're just
Yeah,
carrying the stuff out, so that makes sense that the city would own it at that
I
point.
believe that's the case.
yeah, I think it is the case.
We'll have Dan will check on that for us and look at the agreement for that. Do we have to get a bigger container? I don't
I
wanna
mean, we
start
can-
limiting that.
No, I mean, it would help, but I mean, we can continue to manage it the best way as possible and just have them, continue picking up once a week. And
Okay.
the state isn't,
Yeah, has
state
Anna made
DNR,
any-
she
Anna made any
has, and they've
comments?
seen it, but they don't, it's not a strict rule of enforcement. I mean, they know the enclosed containers here, and we have the ability to close it if, anything really happens. So it's nothing that they're strict about with that. They just kind of make. verbal-
I'm not even sure what the purpose of having a secure container is.
So that scavenging, electronics are a highly scavengeable item,
Yep.
so it's to prevent
And if they
scavenging.
break the
Yes, I-
TVs.
If they break the
become
TVs with the
hazardous waste.
tubes, yeah,
The old glass tubes,
Yeah.
yes, I realize that,
most of it's all flat screen now, it's coming in.
yeah.
Seriously? Yeah, it's all swapped over to flat screen already. You still get your occasional tube, but
It's overflowing tonight. I mean,
It's
it's
outside.
always, they're always got TV sets coming in.
Oh, yeah.
But if you guys got pushed in a corner because of having it out of there, could you put it in one of your drop-off boxes and it
we don't
wouldn't
have
be
it closed, we
secure,
don't have
but
an
it would?
enclosed container. Yeah, it has to be fully enclosed.
Right, the option they would have is to reject the drop-off.
Correct.
That would be what would happen to them, is that they'd have to reject it.
You just don't want to get in.
No, of course not.
That
Yeah,
would be bad.
yeah, but I mean, that's their only,
I just thought
if
if it
the
was
state
afraid
came
of-
down on them, that they would do to meet the requirement was to reject the e-waste after the box is filled.
Yeah, correct.
The First time that happens, that person is never
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
bring anything back,
No.
it's going in the trash.
Yeah.
Or in the ditch, or,
Resi drop.
yeah.
There's too many lugger boxes all over the place.
Yeah.
Do you guys check IDs,
Yes.
so you're sure it's not business waste?
Well,
Yeah.
as sure as we can be, yeah.
Well, you can tell when it's the residents because they're rude to the staff. I have been taking down stories when I get it, when I come into the office, but,
I've been getting emails on that.
yeah. But really, since the operation got moved over here where it's like more out in the open, the residents seem to be a little rougher on the staff. Having higher expectations, believing that they can drop it off at any time.
If Mike had been here, we'd have a lot more conversation on that, but.
Oh, we can still.
I will meet with Mike to discuss that because of
Well, so,
specific complaints.
Juana is gone.
Yes.
Pardon me?
We
Juana
really-
is gone.
We let Juana go
When?
last week after the email.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought there was a different guy here
Yeah.
Friday.
Yes, we have not found a permanent solution yet.
Uh-huh.
So we're just going through a temp labor source.
How much you
right now.
pay?
You'd have to ask Mike.
You know, the
I'm not
previous,
authorized.
the previous chair of the committee worked the
Yeah, I know.
drop off.
Right, right. Yeah, I stopped and saw
No, the
Mike.
drop-off is only
I stopped-
Fridays and Saturdays.
Fridays and Saturdays.
2 days a week.
I stopped and saw Mike after
she's
that
never been
last
nasty to
complaint
me.
too, and that's.
She really hasn't been to most people. I mean, I can see how she comes off as brash.
Oh, yeah.
Well, someone referred to her one time as the garbage Nazi, but
Yeah, that was Bob Mann.
Someone? Several.
I heard that expression once.
You
know,
And I thought, I
another-
never had any problem with her.
I haven't either, but.
The problem I had, and I come here fairly often, every other month or so, it's very hard to understand her, and I don't think she understood half what I was telling her. So
That-
I'm
that
sure
was a
that
big
created
problem.
some sort of a conflict going on, and it's unfortunate, because she was a very nice lady, but
Yeah.
boy, sometimes you couldn't explain what you thought she was asking.
That was most of the complaints I got too. They
Mm.
couldn't understand her.
I think the verbiage in that paragraph could be changed a little bit.
The mixed use?
Well, it just, the email said the guy didn't know where to contact anyone. But that wasn't correct, because if he went to that website, the next page has the landfill's phone number, so he could have easily contacted them. But in our description in the city website, I think we could explain to people a little more what can be brought here and when.
So, yes, I'll take a look at this and work with Dan on this.
Yeah, somebody from the
This comes
city's
back to
gotta
another thing.
Right.
update that
20
website.
years
Right.
ago.
Dan is gonna be
Just had your
our,
anniversary.
right now, he's gonna be our link.
Yeah.
For the moment,
Yeah. But
we're gonna take that
had
issue
Resi
up
drop off
down
for
here
20
and see
years,
if
that's,
that's going to happen.
should have sunk in by now.
Can I keep this?
Yeah,
And to be honest, the stuff I do find in the ditch while driving around doesn't, it's not something that can be dropped off. Very rarely is it something.
Joe,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
either speak loud enough for all of us.
I was discussing with Brett the fact that the Resi drop-off is, the landfill's had its 20-year anniversary. The Resi drop-off's been around for 17 or 16 of those years. And that when I do find things in the ditch when I'm going around, it is stuff that is not taken by the Resi drop-off. So it is, the historic, ditch drops have been things that they couldn't bring here for
Right.
free. My apologies.
The ditch is used if you can't get it here, because it's not gonna stay in someone's garage.
Goodwill boxes.
Yeah, at one time. Okay. So residential drop-off is under new management, and
Still currently looking for a full-time person to slot that out yet.
okay.
So I won't be surprised if there are headaches in the future until that gets all worked out.
Gotcha. Well testing for well water protection area,
Nothing to do on
Nothing?
that, no.
okay. Any planned modification issues at all, Brett?
Nope,
None.
nope.
Any coming up in the
Uh,
works?
No, no, not this year.
2016 is pretty short.
Yeah.
About 2017.
Not that I know of, no. None that are planned.
Any issues on property protection, sociological?
No.
Primarily, property protection is the home purchase.
Yeah, we haven't, I mean, I haven't seen any new, letters come in.
Okay.
Trying to remember what the last one was, but it was a while ago. So as far as I know, we haven't had any, new properties on our list.
Do you know if they got the things straightened out with that guy, with the people on, Old 36 and that house, they forgot to notify you when they put it on the market and?
Yeah, I believe, yeah, that all got worked out, yep. Yep.
Weren't they going to raise the house on 8 Mile Road last year?
They were gonna raise it, yes, and they were gonna raise they were gonna keep everything on this side of Old 36 too, but I was talking to him about that earlier, and I've been talking to Mike about that for months, and it's a corporate holdup. Seems to be lost down
Yeah,
there.
we used to, the way stuff goes now with these properties is once we buy them, anything we do with them has to go through corporate office at this point, and they're kind of like a black hole
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, and I know when I talked to Mike at one point, he said Jay Wazinski would probably be helpful, but I talked to Jay a couple times too, and that black hole is still there and it's still large.
They don't wanna buy them, as they didn't wanna
Well, no,
pony
they
up?
buy them,
They buy 'em.
but they
We
leave them sit.
buy them,
Oh.
and then
Well,
we
first-
originally were gonna get real estate agent and all these other
No.
people involved, and they promised that they were gonna do that. And
Oh, I
corporate
see.
house,
Okay.
None of that happens, it's just,
Then they were gonna tear them
Right, and shoot
down,
the
and that
state.
kinda
Yeah.
stopped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
First they forget to turn the electricity off, then they
Yeah,
flood,
yeah.
yeah.
and then they get moldy, and then
Yeah.
now they got moldy homes sitting all over.
No, they have to knock them down.
Well, yeah,
That's the plan.
that's the plan.
They're waiting for the mold to eat the rest of the house, right?
Yeah.
If anyone's aware that there is a moldy home, that is grounds for the city to take condemnation action to get it.
That's expensive. We've
Yes.
talked about it. And yes, there are moldy
City can
homes,
end up with the
but
property.
it's expensive.
Oh, I know it's expensive,
Yeah.
but the landfill made a choice to let them go moldy. Not here, obviously, but the corporation made a choice and a decision to let them go moldy. And from a city standpoint, the city doesn't want moldy homes like that in their community. They're just too big a risk.
I have,
There was a neat show the other night on TV on that.
I will have yet another, is Milton tomorrow?
Probably be a ballot most of the week. I had one day this week, but it'll be a ballot most of the week.
Okay. I'll get a hold of him. And I, like I said, I've been talking to him for months,
Yeah. That's plan.
especially about the moldy homes.
Yeah, the plan is mostly when we
The
have.
city can take legal action to get that.
Yeah.
Also, health issue.
Yeah, well, and usually
That's why
when,
the city has
when we know that,
that
we
right to do
decide not to
that,
tear 'em
because
down.
it's a health
Huh?
issue for the
I
other
know.
members of the
Yeah,
community.
they take
I
an
know,
issue in
promised
order.
to tear
Yeah.
stuff down in the past. It just hasn't
Oh,
happened.
absolutely.
So, I know.
Okay, new business, first item, well, there's only one item now, we've already done item 2.
I'd like to also bring up about
Go
the
ahead.
road
I'm
cleaning.
sorry.
The road cleaning, pretty much from this exit out onto Highway 45 going north to the other side of the firing range, that the road is really getting a lot of trash
Okay.
on the left hand, more so to the
On-
turn lane.
The northbound lanes?
Well, it's gotten to be in the center of the road.
Okay, it's in the
But-
median now,
But if you, waste management to this driveway, it's not so bad,
okay?
but from here north, it is. And I'm sure they both contribute, but at one point, this committee had what did, Maggie, she used to always report on the road and we would
Yeah.
clean the road.
Right.
Maggie and her flat tire report.
Actually, the sweeper,
Yeah.
45, we don't do 45 that
But
often.
you guys
but we
are-
do
I
our
mean, I
own. We
see-
do sweep once a week, but yeah, our
They have not
our
swept.
full-time labor here probably, goes on the road at least every other week.
Well, I know I see him out there quite a bit.
Yeah.
He hasn't been out there for more than every other week lately.
Is that right?
He was out there 3 days ago.
Does the sweeper work?
He doesn't have a sweeper, he goes out and hand picks it.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Our
this
sweeper-
is
we don't-
gravel. This is gravel that's large enough to see big chunks. There was a brick out
Okay,
there for
because
a
I mean, our
while.
sweeper, it pretty much sweeps our property, then just kind of out the driveway and
Yeah.
then down there, but you don't go all the way down 45 typically.
They used to.
But
I
that's
think
not
not-
what
not every
Harvey's
time,
talking
but
about.
that's
You're
like-
not talking about going all the way down Highway
No, I'm just
45.
saying, you get past where the median is
Mhm.
in the left-hand turn lane,
Because the
Going
sweeper
north.
comes every week,
and
every Wednesday, typically.
then you're paying them not to sweep that part of the road.
Okay.
And the other thing that's been really bad lately, probably the last 2 to 3 weeks, is the odor.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier too. They what'd you say, 50 wells they dug across the street, and when they do that and they open that up, it gets quite.
That's just
That's
the
the answer, it's part of the answer. That's what
Sun-
I've noticed it the last 3 weeks.
I know, it's been
Holy
bad.
cow.
It's been bad.
It's
I
been
said
bad,
something
but
too.
pay attention to the wind. And
Yep.
it's not always them. As a matter of fact, Sunday night, the wind was slightly from the southeast, and at 45 and 36, it was unbearable.
And I didn't say it was
7:30 at
always
night.
them, I'm just saying.
I smelled it a
there's-
little earlier than I
there's
left. I
people.
came from the golf course about 6:30 maybe. I was driving east on 36 and I thought, whew, does that stink?
Yeah.
Well, I needed to make a note of that particular day, because this is always the thing, is whose is it?
Uh-huh.
But this site is doing something that's creating
You
odor.
said you guys did something when I.
Well,
asked.
we had cover
Yeah.
construction going on, when we do that, that closes the 6
Yeah.
wells in the area. That
You were
cover-
excavating the access road.
We're excavating the access road, yeah, and we have one well that has short vacuum to it that we're
Makes sense.
fixing this week.
Sort of vacuum. We didn't
No,
mention
it's
this.
short
Oh,
vacuum.
short vacuum.
Short.
Sort of vacuum.
Well, it's really short, it's got 2 inches.
Yeah, so, yeah, I didn't say it was just
Didn't
them, I
mention
was
that
just
on the
saying it's both, there's
Yeah.
stuff going on.
There's-
Makes
Are
sense.
you addressing the potential sources of gas leaks?
Yes, I mean, we have one, well in our active area right now that lost vacuum, about a week ago that we're gonna be repairing this week. The closed area, all those lines should have vacuum to them now. Again, they were brought back online fully, I don't know exactly when, last week sometime, and
Okay, so prior to that, they would have been contributing?
those were off. Yeah, I mean, they were doing cover construction there, so the cap would help keep some of it in, but there was no vacuum on that side of the hill. We also are scheduled, or we have funds this year to do gas construction work. It's been out to bid, and we're getting contractors in. I don't know exactly when that's gonna get completed, because this could be a function of when the contractors can get in here and do the work. So we'll have to see when their timeframes are open, because it's all based on when they're able to get here, because they're all scheduled out 3 weeks at least. So when that goes out to bid, we'll see when the numbers come back, and we'll be scheduling some gas work here whenever that gets installed. So it's at least 3 or 4 new wells we'll be putting in trash in Phase 7 North, so.
So is there anything right now that would be considered a source?
Nothing out of the ordinary.
Well, I don't wanna see ordinary being the
Well,
equivalent of.
well, no, I mean, like, we're not drilling, we don't have any open pits, we're not drilling new wells. I mean, like Joe said, we're digging up that old access road, so you're digging 20 feet down. It's mostly clay, but you'll have waste on either side, so that could be a source of the odor, but it shouldn't
Something
be
last
hugely
year.
significant.
And you should point out, you're putting waste back in the hole and covering it, so it's not
True.
an open trench, but it is a deep dig
Yes.
during the day when they're
Yeah.
opening it up.
Okay.
But I mean, there's nothing, we're not drilling wells right now, we don't have, well,
But
as
the
of
people
recent.
down here that are working, and you yourself aren't
We don't.
immune to this odor, I mean, if you.
No.
It's never
You
bad.
know,
It's not so bad in the daytime.
It's usually early morning.
It's evening, the heavy damp air that really,
I've noticed it,
Pungent.
I noticed, I mentioned before I came, I mentioned, look, I noticed
Yeah.
it one morning, I went out to get the paper. I'm
and
like,
that
wow,
would be
that's what they
attributable
hear.
to what's happening
Oh,
across
it's
the
been so
street.
damp and.
Well, they're done now.
They
They're
are
done?
now.
Their-
Yeah,
Their well work is done. They finished last week.
they finished this
Okay.
week, yep.
So and yeah, both sites have activities that do generate odor. They put in new wells throughout the old hill, which is the really pre-subtitle D. So it's not as uniform, it's not as well put together. So when they drill new wells, they can take days to do the wells because of the materials they're cutting through. So they end up being open longer than when they put the wells into their other phases that are more modern, more homogenized. But yeah, they finished that last week and everything's on a vacuum now.
Okay. So I guess the issue right now is the people that are down in this area to be aware to see if all of these activities that have taken place have corrected the issue.
Okay, well, sir. I said it's only been about the last 2 or 3 weeks, I noticed.
Okay. If you notice it some more, give me a call.
I will.
And Harvey, I know will.
And to make an official complaint per the host agreement, you're supposed to call the city clerk.
Well, doesn't it make sense too, if you're gonna complain, we document the.
Right, that's, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then they can tie it to activities.
Well, you have to tie it to the air currents, because
Right.
that's the big deal. you know,
Huge
'cause-
impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way it gets all written up and recorded is technically you need to go through the city clerk.
Yeah, I mean, over all the years, like, every once in a while, I say, well, it's no big, guess it's the wind or something, but it's just been I'd say last 3 weeks, boy, it's quite often.
Yeah.
No, they have a different host agreement that has a different, that requires, goes through a different procedure.
I don't know if our city clerk knows she's supposed to be.
No.
Well, she knows, but because it happens so rarely, she just calls me with the information and
okay.
asks me to call the person back.
Oh,
But then it gets documented, it comes down to, following a set of rules we generated for how this gets documented as a complaint. So technically, we can say that the landfill's only had, I wanna say it's 9 official odor complaints in its entire time of operation. Because the official complaint is recorded as what goes through the clerk's office.
Gotcha.
Hey! I was out of town.
Now you're in.
Are you still on are you on the daylight savings time, or?
My clock's
I need to be another.
I didn't keep going.
I only have one question, otherwise I'll leave.
It's too late, we're already past an hour.
We're past questions.
There's a chair back there, please.
You don't
You're
have
getting
to
your
put,
pay, Doc.
you don't have to even pay me for it, I don't care.
Oh, we weren't going to.
We already split it up.
We're getting pizza,
right?
we're getting pizza tonight.
We already talked about it, we're not going back. Close it up.
Take it with you.
Study it at home.
Okay. New business. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have an item for new business. It's that time of year where I asked to have the Christmas week off. Make sure it's okay with the committee if an audit's not done that week.
Any objections?
Has he been a good boy? Has he been naughty?
Check. Check.
Yeah.
No objections?
Thank you very much. Maybe I should get you guys to make that request.
Okay. Item number 1, new business, confirm a new recording secretary. This is required because the previous official recording secretary left City of Muskego employment, now works for City of Wauwatosa. Yeah, that's what I said too.
That's what I said too.
Yeah.
Our money. It's been our money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. Big time. So,
You're not planning on leaving though, too, are you?
I'm here. I'll be here.
okay, well, because of that, we need nominations, and then we have to vote on new recording secretary. So,
Well, it's,
That is the way the contract is written. We don't have a choice on that.
Really?
Yes.
Because I thought the city just took the function over because now we're not paying for that.
No, no, no. We went through, the last time, we went through the very formal process of nominating the whole thing. Because it is the committee's obligation and the responsibility.
Okay.
For
Well,
their
I
own-
nominate Dan because he's free.
Okay,
Well, I'll second.
okay. Any additional nominations? Upon hearing none, I'd be looking for a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Nominations are now closed. It's one thing that doesn't require a vote. But this next one does.
No.
There is only one person who's been nominated for the position, so it sounds like it'd be pretty obvious, but it's up to the person. Do they want to accept the nomination? Dan,
I accept.
you accept, okay?
Aren't you worried about the wages or anything?
What's gravy?
I guess it's worth something out.
Crazy.
I mean, if spending out with all those charming people, what more could a guy
Okay,
want?
at this
What
point,
the hell?
I will make the motion. All those.
I have a question. What's Dan's last name?
Flamini, Flamini.
Okay.
As what position?
Just a engineering technician,
Okay.
land surveyor.
He's a registered land surveyor.
How long have you been with the city?
Nice to meet you. I've been there since 2001.
We already
The problem
nominated.
is-
I worked under Dave.
Where is?
No sense of grilling him. We already nominated him.
It could be. Maybe not for, you can't refuse, you know. Those things happen.
They're choice we made for president.
Oh, we didn't make it yet.
Okay.
How do you can say that?
A motion, I want to put a motion on the floor to accept Dan Flamini as the new recording secretary. Is there a second?
I second.
Are you writing this down? You have to be.
He has it recording.
That doesn't
Technology.
work. One of the functions of the recording secretary is to write down all motions and the votes of all motions. You don't have to write down all really jibber jabber. That should be on the recording.
That got one fired.
Okay?
That's strange.
It is. I think that's
Okay, there is a
atrocious.
motion on the floor. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor of Dan Flamini as the new recording secretary signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Dan, you're it unanimously until you are.
Thank you.
So I'm curious, what role you said you had one question.
'Cause I think this guy's
Well,
probably
I
just a real
guess
hard
I'll
ass.
bring out the,
He ranks like one.
Well, under other business, we can probably bring her up.
you want me to bring
It's
it up?
legal.
It's legal.
Well, let me get there. Continuing business, we have none and covered all the existing status of projects. Under other business, review payments from committee funds. I didn't see. Is it in there? What am I stuck to?
Because he's spending less.
No,
It's a good way to go.
I know.
Okay.
You want? Sure, if he didn't.
Any discussion? Okay, communications of a business is authorized by law.
In the past, Vance was giving out a sheet like this to the municipalities,
Yes.
and then they quit it.
When?
Well, all they do now is they just say they either email you or the town or whatever and say we deposit X amount of dollars, but nothing like this was sent to
The
us.
county still requires it every month, we had a special request.
I want to request that. Who do I request it from?
Melissa, right?
No, we will get this officially,
No, Brett. You were Melissa Evans, right?
What is that exactly?
It's the monthly statement that they used to send out all
on
the time.
beneficial
Every
reuse
municipal-
Oh.
material and.
Okay, yeah, you could probably get that from Julianne, actually,
Julianne,
right now,
yeah.
yeah.
But we want that
Yeah, we can
as
get that.
a permanent part of the record.
Okay.
should
It was
come out
done
of
for
most
years.
payments.
Yeah, this is the way it has been done, and all of a sudden they quit it.
Okay.
So I'd like to go back to at least request it for my township. I
Yep.
can't do it for Muskego, but I think every township or
Every
municipality.
affected municipality should get that.
How often do they send that out?
Every month.
Month.
With the
monthly?
host
Is
fee,
a monthly
with the
thing?
host fee.
With
Okay.
the host fee
Monthly.
payments.
Okay,
Send it with the checks.
Okay?
gotcha.
All right. That's all I had.
Thank you, Mr.
That's
Tebow.
the only reason I stopped here. Otherwise, I wouldn't even stop late, because that's very disrespectful. We come in here an hour and a half late.
We've noticed
And
that.
I know.
Hey, you made progress.
You were missed.
I don't think so.
Any other business is authorized by law?
Wait, there was one other thing. What were you and I supposed to ask about here, from across the road?
You were supposed to support the household hazardous waste. But,
Yeah,
And
yeah, but
street
you weren't here to
sweeping.
do it.
There was something else. What were you?
Street sweeping.
The
Street,
odors.
street and the odor.
Oh, yeah, the odors. Okay, that was all brought up?
Yep.
Okay, that's
Very good.
Thank you.
If you'd have been here,
We
you'd
can't
have heard.
forget to, you have on your agenda for meeting dates.
For 2017.
So
Yeah.
you're bringing up your three per year?
Okay. At this point, I would like to address, if you look at your agenda, the top of page 2, right under the November 7th date. It is still part of other business. Establish the meeting dates for 2017. We will be having 4 meetings in 2017.
Correct.
Minimum.
I better write these down.
Did you?
When's the next
Okay,
meeting? This
it
year?
will be the
This is the last one for
first
this year.
Monday of March? Is that correct? Is that what we want? March, July? September? And then November? The reason for not having one in December is it's too late to take any action with respect to household hazardous waste or anything other financial.
March, July, September, November, is that what you said?
Well, that's my suggestion. March,
Are you sure you don't want it in June?
Yeah, March, June, September, November?
that's fine.
Yeah.
Skip the 4th,
Okay, March, June,
And it's the first Monday?
yep.
The first Monday in September is Labor Day.
We can't do
Okay, well,
Okay,
Well, that, I mean, I'm just
right.
thinking that if there were issues.
How many Mondays in
that's fine.
September?
You could do it on the 11th. That would be fine.
Is there 4 Mondays?
Therefore, yep.
Okay.
So we could do the second Monday.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, are there 5 Mondays?
No,
Only 4?
no. Yeah.
Is that gonna be an issue if we move it to September 11th?
Not for me.
who knows now?
If I'm alive, I'll be here.
Okay, as long as Rebecca's got her calendar out, what is it for March, the date?
So it would be
March 7th.
6th.
6th?
Oh, that's wrong one.
Okay.
Wrong year.
June?
5th.
June 5th. Now, typically, the meeting in June, we have a landfill tour.
Mhm.
So that meeting typically starts a little earlier.
Okay.
4 on Monday.
Yeah, I think we usually do a tour at 4 and then the meeting's still at 5.
Okay, so we'll be 4 o'clock. all other meetings, 5 o'clock,
Yeah, I guess.
does that meet
Sure.
with everybody's approval? Okay, so the next meeting is September 11th.
About 6:30 for some.
What's the date on November?
November sixth.
November 6th.
September 11th.
Very good.
November 6th.
And that'll be 5 o'clock. Is that schedule agreeable to everyone?
Yep.
Yes, it's okay.
Joe?
Perfectly,
Okay.
especially if Raleigh keeps coming late to him.
I mean, a year or so to go away.
Okay. Communications with other businesses authorized by law. Are there any other issues? Hearing none, citizen commentary, limited to 15 minutes for citizens to respond to agenda items discussed at this meeting. Do you have any?
No,
Pardon me?
no.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at
With all that recycled
6:38
trash you guys have out there?
PM.
Don't you set up
Yeah, Eileen, I meant to
cameras?
ask you.
They
Eileen,
have, they have.
Eileen,
No,
But I
Dan,
mean,
you're-
to record the other
Eileen.
side of the story.